Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So as you can tell, there's no webcam today, mainly being because we have a lot of stuff to talk about, and when I turn on my webcam I always delay things and it's just always more of a hassle. But we have so much to talk about, I don't want to waste any time. Before we get into this, if you guys would like to consider subscribing to this channel, consider doing so. Check out my other videos if you like this video and see if this is a channel for you. And if you are a returning viewer, liking the video would be fantastic. Otherwise, let's get into this. Alright, so that was quick, but we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So I want to start off by looking at this first piece of the storm, which is already occurring across much of Oklahoma and Kansas. You can see that the radar is constantly spitting snow, very heavy snow. Not widespread, but it is where it's falling very heavily where it is occurring. On the snowfall reports, unfortunately, there is none reporting, and that will get filled in as we go on into the evening hours, but you can see not a single report, so I do not know how much snow has fallen. If you live across those areas into, if you saw snow across Oklahoma and Kansas and Texas, please let me know, as I'm genuinely curious to see how much snow is falling. And based on the looks of this, especially around that central Kansas to Oklahoma border, you can see that even it's been snowing for most of the day or most of the afternoon, and it continues to snow, and now just starting to pick up in portions like Amarillo, Texas. Notice a lot of moisture with this system, and some of this may transition over to snow across portions of southern Missouri. And though it still has quite a bit to go across portions of Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas. Let's take a glance at what the National Weather Service is predicting for these locations. Notice there's a winter storm warning issued for much of central Oklahoma. Oklahoma City, the amounts have dwindled for you, but as this has kind of set up further to the north and west. But if you live across northwestern Oklahoma, say Woodward, the National Weather Service really increases snowfall amounts for your location. So let's take a look at this. Notice Woodward, let's go a bit to the north and west. And if we were to see their forecast, they have light snow right now. It's most likely not light snow. It's pretty heavy based on the radar returns. Notice tonight, or this afternoon, 3 to 7, tonight 3 to 7. So in total, there will be some pockets over a foot, and they make that pretty clear in the winter storm warning. Total accumulations of 10 to 15 inches possible, but more broad areas of 4 to 6 and above are kind of for that larger range. And if we were to look at the potential total snowfall, you could see they definitely increase quite a bit of snow across the northwestern area of Oklahoma. Watch. Notice Oklahoma City, not that much. Clinton and it seeing 1 to 2, 3 to 4 inches. And even this may be a bit overdone, as this has really centered towards the north. Let's look at portions of southern Kansas, and this has really kind of intensified and shown more ferocity over these locations. So again, very, very heavy snow. They're saying light to moderate. It's falling pretty heavily based on what the webcams are showing. And if we were to look at, again, they have the winter storm warning. This is the forecast total snowfall. Again, I think that it will be a bit higher. There will be some amounts reaching towards that 8 to 12 inch range. And even Amarillo, Texas has, I think, a winter weather advisory. It would make sense. Okay, they're right on the border, but let's click where they do have that advisory. And they have light snow right now. Really, I mean, you can see how unpredictable this storm is. I'm surprised, actually. They have a winter weather advisory. They had originally just a 30% chance of snow. They haven't updated it yet. But based on how the radar is behaving, I mean, you can see the snow is starting to fill in. It isn't winding down. It's starting to fill in. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these locations pick up 1 to 2 inches. I have to go in a new radar because that one for some reason is not working. But notice this snow is just filling in across these locations, and it has been falling heavily and probably will continue to do so. So you can see Liberal, Kansas right there. Quite a bit of snow shower activity. Some of these bands, bursts of snow are very heavy. Now let's take a look over at the HER model to see what's to come for this night. And notice that the HRR model shows this much additional snow. And again, I don't know how much snow has fallen, so I can't say totally how much there will be. But I'm pretty confident in the fact. Let's go to a different region. Let's go southern central United States. Sorry that I'm jumping around so much. But let's assume the fact that a lot of these locations already have 1 to 3 inches. I wouldn't be surprised if there are some 5-inch amounts based on how long this has been already going on for. So if you pick up another 5 inches, that could be 10, another 5, maybe 15. Definitely up to a foot of snow across those locations. Now notice that Amarillo, Texas, according to this, has 1 to 3 inches. But again, this is unpredictable, and all it takes is one little band or burst of snow to kind of set up over a certain location, and that can drop 1 to 3 inches, where her model with this model is showing less than an inch. If we go way farther back just to show how much this has kind of changed, you can see it jumps around. It shows different variants, and obviously it hasn't jumped across 3 states, but several counties over towards the west, towards the north. It's been kind of going back and forth, if you will. The 18Z model run, let's see what it showed. You can see this one was more heavy towards southern portions of the panhandle, but let's see what it showed. And notice, as I mentioned, portions of southern Missouri may get in on some of this snowfall, and mostly that would be occurring into late tonight and into early tomorrow, so around 2 o'clock tonight in the evening. Potentially some snow across southern Missouri. Let's take a look at the radar. So we are as of 5 o'clock Central Standard Time, 5:30, so really this is what it should be looking like. And to be honest, the radar does a pretty good job of this. Notice that as we push this forward, this continues to unfold across the panhandles into Kansas. We do start seeing some snow occur across portions of Missouri and northern Arkansas, actually. So notice that a bit of snow will be falling there, really starting as early as 2 o'clock in the morning tonight, and still winding down across these locations and dropping a bit of snow. Again, not widespread heavy snow by any means, but notice where this takes us to. Oh wow, I didn't even know this. Okay, yeah, all right. So I'm starting with I saw that they upgraded it, but now that's actually amazing. They released up to hour 48 with the high resolution model. That is really cool. I did not know that. There's probably more updates I'll have to read up on as they, that's today, December 2nd. So you just saw me discover that it goes out to 48 hours. Normally it would go out to 36, and sometimes it would just get stuck at 31 or 32. So 48 hours, that's significant. Notice that after that occurs, it really dies down. This main load of precipitation dwindles, but the energy, it doesn't disappear completely. Let's see what it does. I'm curious to see how far this shows the HERN model. All right, so it starts showing the snow starting to develop with rain across the northeast, which takes us to our next phase of the system. Let's go to a higher resolution model like, let's say the NAM 12KM. And this is the 18Z model run. Notice that if we were to put this into motion, what it shows at around 3 o'clock p.m. Friday night or Friday evening, so in the 2 days, we have a weak, disturbed kind of flow of moisture from the south, a low pressure, trying to get that all organized, and it will, but it also is trying to, or it is getting tapped in from some cold air behind, and notice that cold air has a bunch of snow showers associated with it. Not heavy, nothing significant, but the combination of these two things results in a potentially pretty big nor'easter, as I mentioned by this title. So notice that what we have here is a large area of rain, and now this will most likely be rain, and I do want to say that the NAM 12KM does have a cold bias, and that's been proven scientifically through studies. It's not something I pulled out of the box. And notice that this starts taking up on a very, very negative slope, and a positive slope. And notice that we start seeing some snow across portions of North Carolina, Virginia, into Kentucky, maybe West Virginia as well. We'll have to see. Again, this may be just an overestimate by the NAM model, but as we push this forward, notice that the portions of New York, not New York City, New York, Boston, not Boston, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, seeing some snow, and it really starts to intensify. And this is the thing, all models at this point, other than the GFS, are showing a pretty strong system with really strong winds and heavy rain, but what they aren't all agreeing on is how much snow will fall. So notice, this is the NAM 12KM, and it carries us through right around 12 a.m., so pushing into Sunday morning. And notice that we start seeing some snow across New York City, New Jersey, even portions of Delaware, up Philadelphia, and obviously a pretty wind up blizzard across the northeast. So again, this would be a very, very, very potentially strong system. And if we were to take a look at the total snowfall, again, this only takes us through the beginning part of the storm. Well, it takes us through nothing because this only goes out to 75 hours. So we can have an accurate description of that. Let's take a look at the model prior to that, what the NAM showed. You can see it definitely shows some pretty heavy amounts of snow. The main difference is just basically the placement of the storm. Sorry about that. I wanted to go to radar. And notice that this is what it showed last time, a bit closer towards the shore. and at a different orientation. But definitely, if this were to occur, heavy snow and very strong winds, almost a definite blizzard. I won't include that in the title this time this early because last time it did not end up holding the truth as I hoped it would. So I'll just call it a winter storm and nor'easter. But definitely a potential, right? So the NAM 3KM, the higher resolution model, doesn't go out that far to show any significant, snow event. It starts organizing this low pressure pretty well. So again, this isn't far out. This is within 100 hours, which is considered, at most the medium range, but most people would consider that the short range. And we will have, the high resolution models like the HER pick up on that very soon, especially now that they extended it to 48 hours. NAM 3KM, notice that it definitely shows a pretty large, already well moisture-driven system. So that will be interesting to see what it shows with that. Let's take a glance at some other models, like the RGEM. This is kind of the Canadian version, if you will. I think it's a Canadian model. I'm not 100% sure, but regardless, I think it is. All right, so notice that it very strong winds and very heavy rain. The RGEM is one model that takes it a bit closer to the shore, so off the shore, so that would indicate a bit more snow for the coastal areas, quite a bit more snow. Except the thing is that normally during winter, that would be good for the coastal areas. The lack of cold air isn't enough to transition this rain over to snow. If this was a really cold blast of air, a lot of this would be falling as snow right here. In this case, it's most likely falling as rain, only in the end transitioning over to some snowfall. And let's play this through. Notice this is really late Saturday morning into early Sunday late Saturday morning, early Saturday afternoon. And notice that as we push this into future, we see that again, it takes upon that really classic nor'easter shape. It is very strong. It has a strong cold front, lots of thunderstorms, a nice axis, a kind of comma-shaped low pressure, and along this will be falling some very heavy snow. And it's curious, I'll be curious to see how this low pressure, if it takes something like this, obviously these locations will see heavy snow, glides off completely like that. Some models do show that it really just doesn't even affect the U.S. Take something like that, it's like more of the coastal area. So ignoring those scribbles, let's put this into motion. Notice that it does show quite a bit of snow across Massachusetts and into portions of Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. Total snowfall accumulations are pretty high if this accurately portrays it. It's just showing the beginnings of that, but you can see Boston maybe even seeing some heavy snow. So we'll have to see even portions of Virginia, and again the Appalachians seeing some snowfall. And take a look at the global models now. GFS, this is a global forecasting system. Look at that. That's the system. It just takes it into the extreme eastern corner of Maine and into portions of New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and that's basically it for the watch area that we cover. Let's see what it does differently. So the main thing that the GFS does is, well, it develops the low pressure further off the coast and it pushes it further off the coast. And again, lots of New York City, Boston seeing rain instead of snow as that cold air has troubles kind of converting that rain over to snow, and it really can't really catch up with that. Notice as we push this continuously into motion, Maine into portions of southern Canada do get a pretty good doozy out of this, just not as big of an impact, right? Let's take a look at the Canadian model. The Canadian model definitely a bit different, but not completely different, if I were to show you right now. So again, it's across the southern plains right now, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, seeing some pretty heavy snow. It almost seemingly dissipates. It starts erupting again, and look at that. The Canadian, it really, what it does is it takes it off coast initially into portions of just rain across New York City, Boston, the coastal areas. And then it drives it back onto the shore with very strong winds. And notice that it does deliver some pretty heavy snow across Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire area, and into portions of southern Canada. Sticks around there for quite a while, so that definitely could be and then it shows more in the future, but that definitely could be a long-lived event if it's something like what the Canadian is indicating. Total snowfall, you could see up in the 20-inch range across northern Maine, not so much across the Boston area or really the coastal areas and the Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Long Island, even New York City. GFS parallel shows quite a bit of snow, more coastal areas, but this is a bit of an old model run. It's from the midnight, and ever since then, quite a few things have changed with the other models, so it's only reasonable to assume this one has changed as well. But obviously, I can't show you any newer ones because they don't exist. So it takes more of a, not coastal track right across New York City into Boston, but it definitely does develop some heavy snow and is more lenient to convert it to snow. Now, let's see what the let's see what the European model shows. So the European model is probably definitely the most interesting and most exciting, which is good since the European is considered the good model, the best model. Notice, it's still pulling away that first system, and here's that first phase of the second system. Snow across Oklahoma, Kansas, into portions of Missouri. It seemingly disappears. Let me zoom out a bit. I want to encapsulate this whole thing. And this is now, Friday morning, Friday afternoon. In the afternoon, we do see some light snow develop across southern Canada from this little disturbance that we have. Again, that won't do much, but what it does is bring a lot of cold air for this storm to work off of. It really starts deepening. This low pressure becomes strong. Again, very, very heavy rainfall. This is now early Saturday morning. This is now 7 o'clock Saturday morning. And notice, again, not far out. Today's Wednesday. This is Saturday. We do see some ice, some sleet. That pink is not freezing rain, but some sleet. And notice, in extreme portions of northern New York City, seeing some of that in northern New Jersey, upstate, or not upstate, really downstate New York, if you will, and into portions of Vermont, New Hampshire, and portions of extreme western Massachusetts. Then as this pushes into the afternoon hours of Saturday, you can see that low pressure continues to intensify. It really drops a lot of millibars in pressure, and the winds are spinning. That is very, very heavy snow. That is occurring at rates of, I don't know if they have, based on this, that would be almost 0.2 of an inch per hour of precipitation equivalent to snow. So around 2 to 3 inches of snow per hour would be there, which would be interesting to see. And again, continues to deepen. 974, that is a beast of a system. And it sits there for quite a while before moving away. And in terms of the snow it leaves behind, it's quite significant. Let's take a look at the total accumulated snowfall. And you can see right there. Snowfall may not always accurately represent because of melting, compacting, and other factors. But let's take a look at this and notice that based on this scenario, a bit of snow shower activity, a bit more snow across the Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas panhandles, southern Missouri, maybe some pockets of up to 3 inches. And then as you can see, it blows up a broad area over a foot, pockets of up to over 2 feet of snow, and in a even broader area of 6 inches plus. Boston on the cusp of this, really New York City on the cusp. Connecticut seeing quite a good doozy out of this. New York City anywhere from 1 to 5 within a tiny amount, margin. Boston also with this model run, a small variance. And we'll just have to see how this unfolds. Unfortunately, we don't have really any more models that we could look at, and that will give us a better idea. We'll just have to wait and see. The National Weather Service, as of right now, let's just go back to this, away from this radar. I don't know if this is going to work. Let's see. Okay, come on. All right, well, I think we could go on locations, and let's see. So they basically just have advisories, or sorry, not advisories. They just have this in their forecast discussions. They're like, you may be... Okay, you know what? I'll just have to search this up. Alright, so I just had to put in a website's name so I could do this easier. But basically what they're discussing right now is that, you have the potential for some snow. And at this point, it's very unclear. I don't know if they're doing here. Okay, they're just expecting some scattered rain and snow showers. That's their focus. If you look across more of the coastal areas, maybe into portions of Connecticut and Rhode Island, let's see right there. Definitely have them mentioned, I would say. At least that's what I was getting off the forecast discussion. You could see. Expect rain all day Saturday. That's what they're saying. I wouldn't be that confident in that. They are pretty confident in that. Again, I don't know. Portions of Massachusetts, including Boston, you can see that the weather story for today is, again, the temperatures. This is a bit far out, but the snow is, it's not that far out. It's really not that far-fetched. And winter weather forecast, they definitely are mentioning it, and maybe not in the big images, right? That's a bit too unconfident at this point. But if you were to read their forecast discussion, which I know people do, you would see that this, for example, Maine right here shows a precipitation chance Saturday night, and they say that you can see it's unclear. Warmer track bring heavy rain, and colder track would bring snow all the way to the coast. Highest probability for at least 6 inches of snow, so they're going right for that 6 inches plus. Very, very high, chance of that, or sorry, Well, yeah, if it does occur snowy, there will be a high chance of 6 inches or more. Whether or not that occurs, we'll just have to wait and see, and just watch the weather models very meticulously. Again, not much confidence as of now. Anyone that does claim they have confidence is simply fooling themselves. So at this point, a lot of uncertainty. And just to show you what's to store in the future, notice the European does keep things a bit drier, but colder weather may be on its way. The GFS model definitely shows some interesting signs of total snowfall. Let's take a look at this. 264, notice a big storm right there, that that weakened first system, or the nor'easter. And I want to not look at total snowfall, but total positive snow depth change gives us a better look. Going back to our model back, you can see it definitely shows, sorry about that, that was a chair, shows sign of increasing snow, especially across the west, the mountains, and even in portions of the Midwest. But that is basically it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya.